Welcome to Trekkie Tuesdays.
Why did you ask me what the episode title was if you weren't going to be the one to say it?
This episode is The Devil in the Dark. Was that it? And it's a funny episode. It's a little hokey, as Trekkie Tuesdays often is. In this episode, they decide to make aliens more alien, which I think is, in general, what Star Trek should be more. When we encounter aliens in the world of the original Star Trek series, and even in other iterations of Star Trek, for some reason, all of the aliens are these bipedal humanoid creatures. It doesn't seem very likely. It's not very accurate. Unless they want to explain why that happened and it has something to do with, I don't know. There are ways you could get around that and explain it. It's never really explained. It doesn't really make any sense why all the aliens are basically humans with maybe a funny ear or just a funny outfit. Often they just wear togas, and you're like, or a funny hat. I don't understand why that makes them an alien, but sometimes they have something on their nose or they're whatever, just a little bit of an odd thing. But anyway, in this episode, we do encounter not only life that is not shaped like a human, but life that is not even made out of, human materials. It is a silicon-based life, right? And
It's silicon and asbestos, and I really wanted one of the characters to say asbestos, but asbestos is harmless. So we could be like, ha, you're in the past. It didn't happen.
Basically, it's a big blob. This blob makes a lot of tunnels and gives birth to a lot of blob babies and little eggs. And we could go into the plot of the episode, I guess, but that's basically what happens is the idea of sort of what if life could look different than a human? Is it possible? And that's basically the most exciting idea that comes in here. Some good moments include Spock trying to connect with the blob-like creature and saying, "Pain! Pain! Pain!" And it's all very hokey. I feel like, I don't know. That's all I got, really. What do you have for this episode?
Well, so it's striking how much this really could be a Doctor Who episode, which I don't think is entirely a coincidence. The two shows started at around the same time. Doctor Who was, I think, a little earlier. This was probably actually influenced by it, but also, really just imagine this episode and drop in the Doctor in place of Spock, and the companion who he has sexual tension with in place of Kirk, and you've got the it's really very believable. Even really the same structure with the cold open in which the main characters don't appear, and then a monster kills somebody, and then the characters appear in their ship and sort it out. And it turns out that the monster was just misunderstood all along, and I feel like there was probably like a big sense in science fiction that this was what we had to do now. We had to show that seemingly alien people were actually just very different kinds of people who were coming from a different place. And if they didn't write enough science fiction stories like that, the world would end in a nuclear holocaust. For all we know, they were right. There's a side note that I randomly know that during the pain thing, William Shatner said, "Jesus Christ, get that Vulcan an aspirin," and then everybody pretended to find that really funny because his dad had just died, so they felt like they had to be nice to him. You could take this episode as a template for a lot of the people. Scotty has to perform miracles of engineering and is grumpy about it, but does his best. McCoy says, "I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer," when asked to perform surgery on the Horta. And Spock uses his Vulcan mind melds, and he's very coldly logical about everything and devoted to science and exploration, except when Kirk is in danger, and then he throws all of that out of the window. Um, and Kirk is endlessly amused by everything that is Spock.
And he's also like being sort of the diplomat of sort of trying to make sure that the angry mob doesn't kill this creature while also still being a little skeptical that this is a creature, but giving the benefit of the doubt. I think you're right. I think this is very like typical. Like these are who these characters are. This is what this show is about. Like finding new roads and trying to find respect for things that are hard to understand.
And it's life, Jim, but not as we know it, is the famous line from the show episode that is not actually ever said in this episode, but that's they come close to it. And go to a colonial place with it. I think you're kind of supposed to a little bit, but and the happy ending is that the natives of the planet are conscripted into helping with the mining operations, and that's their peaceful coexistence. As the natives are helping mine this thing that they don't have any use for, but that is then going to get exported out to the human empire thing.
I don't know. It's an okay episode. It's not terrible.